Yep.
All right. Well, welcome to the Valentine's edition of the Riley County Commissioners. Stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't have anything Valentine's Day themed, so I went with Tabasco sauce, thinking peppers are sweet.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. Looks like John might have something Valentine's on.
Nope.
No,
Nope. Yep.
it's all red.
Okay. Don't see any Zoom. Jeff, public comments? No later. All right. Commission comments. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Thursday night, I attended the special meeting in Leonardville at 7 o'clock. It was really well attended, standing room only, and many residents got up to speak in favor of an ambulance service in the North County. Minutes from that meeting presented today will list the speakers and summary of their statement. I appreciated meeting with many of the residents and hearing the issues and testimonials. Friday, I continued the county fire station tour with Russell Stuckey. We visited Tuttle Creek, Zedale, Conza Valley, Ashland, Ogden, Hunters Island, and Hunters Island. So that was quite a tour that we took 2 days. 2 good half days. We had done Keats the week before, so I didn't add that in my list. But I now have a good understanding of the fire district and all the equipment, volunteers that it takes to run all the stations throughout the county. And I wrote down the names of all the different trucks and tried to keep them all separate. Russell was really good at answering all my pretty elementary questions and discussing all that the county is responsible for. The rest of the day, I followed up on some emails from the North County. I received a message from a constituent that had received a letter from the planning department concerning their possible interest in selling the county a piece of land for the Keats Sewer District. I hadn't seen the letter, so I quickly requested it from Amanda and then returned the call to the lady, and she was really upset, thinking did you talk to her too? Thinking that we were going to take her land from their land. So I explained to her there was an inquiry letter to find out who might be interested in selling some land. And then we had a pretty good conversation after that. So that's all I've got.
John.
Okay, well, let's see. Thursday, I met with our Public Works Director over here, John. Talked for a few minutes, a couple of different items, including the current and the transitioning into the new sales tax, because we'll be discussing that here pretty quickly for 2023. Several of our upcoming projects and some thoughts on 2022 CIP projects. And some KDOT projects too. A couple of those I think will get discussed this morning when Stephanie comes in. So let's see. Thursday, I also chatted with Riley County Community Corrections Director Shelley Williams about several pieces of legislation that's being discussed in Topeka currently. Governor Kelly's proposed budget for them, kind of far short of what they were hoping for, but still an increase nonetheless. We took a look at some of the applicable legislative committees and seeing if we knew members, that sort of thing. So just trying to catch up and try to kind of forward think on a few things there. And it's kind of a follow up to our early January meeting. So appreciated the time to chat and catch up on everything there. Thursday evening, I too attended the special meeting at the community center in Leonardville to discuss the North County EMS facility and applicable services, I guess, that go with that. very impressed with the turnout. They said 200. It seemed like a lot, but it didn't seem like that a lot. So, okay. I thought maybe it was closer to maybe 100 myself, but
There's, and I have one of my notes, the lady that runs things, said they had 110 chairs.
okay.
And they were all full and pretty good amount, but not another 100 people.
Okay. My math, when I'm looking at that, can be off sometimes, but it didn't seem like 200, but that was the number I heard. So, okay. Appreciated everybody that took the time to speak, met with some people afterwards. Obviously, there'll be some continued dialogue and conversation on this moving forward. Saturday, I attended virtually NACO's Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee. That meeting is actually taking place. Well, the whole conference is taking place right now as we speak in DC, but obviously I didn't go because, well, I'm here. So, did do that one obviously for virtual means. Heard from all kinds of officials from the White House, congressional officials, other people from the Biden administration, mostly dealing with the items of housing innovations, jobs plus job creation, all the measures and resources that go into that, ongoing efforts on just general housing issues around the country, the particular interest on different types of affordable housing, and obviously the funding and resources to support that as well. We got several updates on national economic development directives, and we followed up those updates with a very short business meeting, and we voted and passed on 4 new policy resolutions. I have copies of if anybody would like to take a look at those. This will be what we'll probably be working on for the rest of 2022 with our legislative team there on the ground in DC. Saturday evening, I attended the Raleigh County Republicans Lincoln Day dinner at Otter Hall. It was really good to catch up with some people that I haven't caught up with for a very, very long time, actually. So talked to some other local and state level type officials, heard from some candidates that'll be running for office here in 2022. It's right around the corner, and just appreciate being invited, and give a shout out to everybody who worked to put that together. Thought it went pretty well. So K-State men pulled out one of Ames. Didn't have to go to overtime in my opinion, but it did. So we won. Unfortunately, the women lost to KU. That always hurts. I can't figure out the up and down of that one sometimes. And guess I'll just take a moment and congratulate the Rams for winning the Super Bowl last night. So that's all I've got.
All right. Well, Thursday evening, as mentioned, we had a meeting in Leonardville about the ambulance in North County. It was a well-attended meeting. Again, like I said, the person scheduled the room said they have 110 chairs. The chairs were full and quite a few people standing too. Heard a lot of good comments from the residents, and I was impressed with how well the meeting went. Friday evening, I also got the call from someone who had gotten a letter about the lagoons. She's friends with my wife, so that's why she said, "I'm calling you." I said, "Okay." And part of her problem, and she misread the letter, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Part of it was her family got their farm taken when the Ford expanded, and it brought up bad memories for her. She got her settled down, I think.
Yeah, she was calling me to talk to her. I talked to her sometime Friday.
Okay. And then Saturday evening, I also attended the Raleigh County Republican Lincoln Day dinner. There were a lot of the candidates who are going to be running for state office this year. I was able to talk to several of the candidates, and then they all gave presentations. And I learned that some of the candidates I was really interested in, and a couple that I'm definitely not interested in.
Yep.
I also had several key people come up to me and talk about the ambulance meeting. And I also got to talk to Mike Donaldson about some of the stuff that the state's working on. And Sunday I went to my granddaughter's basketball game, and again, someone came up to discuss the ambulance meeting with me.
Really?
Yeah. So get running into that. And like I mentioned, we had K-State men's improbable comeback.
Have we won in Ames 3 years in a row now?
No, maybe.
I heard some stat, we won like 4 of the last 5 or 6 there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
Which is odd, because that's such a hard place for most teams to play.
Yeah.
And the women have won huge percentage the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Even at KU, but
Not on Saturday, yeah.
and watched the Super Bowl, mainly the last kind of was half watching until the last quarter when it got interesting. It was an amazing finish to the game. That's all I've got.
Nothing on the halftime show? Nothing? Anybody?
Bleh.
That's good. You're gonna get that.
Man,
That's why I turned it off.
us Gen Xers, we just can never win,
I was
ever.
gonna say, John, did you enjoy the house?
I did.
We all, in our office, we enjoyed it.
Okay, see, good, okay, good.
It's a joke.
Careful who you say we office.
No, right here, our little back office, us and Michelle, we enjoyed it.
I did too. Yeah, I was really impressed with Mary J. Blige. That was the one I was impressed with, so.
Ready for
Okay.
business, commissioners?
Yes.
First item we have, need a motion to approve change order 00 for RCP Fire Range Control Building with Schultz Construction, the amount of a decrease of $500.
It's always good to have a decrease. And
It is.
I would move to approve the change order for the RCP fire range.
I don't suppose we could put a couple zeros on that.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the change order 00 for the firing range. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please.
I got a stack. It looks like.
Yeah, you got a fair amount. You got a fair amount. Better do your wrist calisthenics. Next, I need a motion for the Cons United Way campaign proclamation.
I'll make a motion that's for the proclamation for the United Way Riley County campaign.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation for the Kansa United Way campaign. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All three sign, please. Yeah, you've been up for a while there now. Technology worked.
Eventually.
Next, I need a motion for the tax roll corrections. A big portion of these are that Peterson additions and changing those from residential to ag because.
Was that what that was? I
the
couldn't
majority of those
understand.
are for.
So all those lots now are gonna be ag? They're not
Well,
gonna be.
until-
Well, if they continue paying now.
Until they build a house?
No, that's what I've gotten calls on
Oh, okay.
and talked to, then they, they got it all straightened out.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Need a motion on those, please.
I'll make a motion. We approve the tax roll corrections.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve tax roll corrections. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, please.
Well, this is gonna be fun. For you.
Where's my stamp? I can't.
If you get one of those, I'm gonna be really, really mad. I'm gonna get up and I'm still get up and leave. I'm just getting up and walking out the
I
door.
wish I'd have thought of that ahead of time.
Sure you got a stamp that you could bring in.
I thought of that ahead of time. Just watch John fall out of his chair.
No, the chair will stay. It'll just be me that'll be
Either that or
leaving.
throwing the chair at me, one of the two.
Yeah, you should have brought in a fake stamp. That would have been fun.
It's Valentine's Day, not April Fool's. You gotta waste the.
Oh, we have to wait for
Yeah.
that.
Man, I missed an opportunity there.
Well, April Fool's Day, that we got it there. You just better beware.
See, does that fall on the, it's on a Friday. Gonna have to,
Figure it out.
Reagan, you think just have that one.
Radio, this morning had this up mixed up, they had the Flint Hills planning,
Oh, did they?
yeah. I was like, I don't think they're seeing that.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Next, commissioners, I need a motion to appoint Vivian as the Riley County representative on the Flint Hills Regional Leadership Program Board.
Make a motion that we appoint Vivian Usella as the Riley County representative of the Flint Hills Regional Leadership Program Board.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve Vivian as the Riley County representative on the leadership program. All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing it.
Excited,
Yeah,
really
Thanks for doing it. Ready, commissioners have any change, bless you, any changes for the minutes, February 10th regular meeting? Accept the
And
motion.
I will go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes from the Riley County Commission meeting dated February 10th, 2022.
I'd second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 10th, 8:30 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And on the next set of minutes for the special meeting, I did receive a number of changes for name, correction on name spellings, which I knew I would get from Commissioner McKinley, which I will change those. Are there any other changes the board would like to make to the minutes? So if I can get a motion as amended on these.
As I said earlier, just impressive that you were able to keep all of this. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I got behind a couple times, had to rethink and go back.
Oh.
People were.
I didn't realize you were doing that by hand. So
I didn't, I told you, I thought it was pretty good to keep up
It
with
wouldn't
the
come.
computer. But so the
Yeah,
computer
I'm
just
sorry
relaxed.
over there, just writing away.
Head down and going.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the amended meeting agenda from the special meeting dated February 10th, 2022. Minutes, excuse me, yes.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the special February 10th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
How the tentative agendas look, commissioners?
On Thursday,
Yes, sir.
we had North County ambulance discussion last night.
Oh, yeah, add an item.
Yeah.
That's Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. How much time?
That'll be the
That'll be
last
the last
item.
Yeah, that's why I
Okay.
said put the last item, but I'm not sure how long. Yeah.
Anything else, commissioners, on the tentative agendas? Okay, any items for the press conference next week? We don't have one next week, so it'll be the week after that.
You don't have to- oh,
Yeah. President's
You worked
Day.
so hard last week, and this week we'll give you Monday off.
Since we did 2 last Thursday, we get Monday off next week. Okay.
Okay, commissioners, I'm up next at 9 o'clock. Sign.
Yeah, all the candidates, some of them will fall. Why?
Oh, that reminds me, Rich. Scott wanted me to tell you hi.
Schwab.
Scott,
Scott Schwab.
sure he did.
No, he did.
He did.
We got into a discussion after with some other folks, and they're talking about something about the elections and mentioned Riley County. And he said you do a great job and that you help teach some of the new ones, the new county clerks. That you've been a big help all the way through.
I can concur.
We try.
I heard it too.
We help anyone that asks. And we learn from others as well. Got a great association for that. And we do meet weekly by conference call. With Secretary of State's office and all the clerks that can sign on. Which is really helpful. I guess it'd be better if I stood over at my stand then after this.
Might be time to switch up the seating. We might need to.
Yeah, why don't you put Rich over
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
So I don't have to listen to all the stamping,
Yeah, that thump.
the thump.
Yeah.
You can really hear that on the YouTube too.
Yeah,
It really comes through.
it does.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Seal on them.
That's
Really?
it. Oh, yeah, it's.
I just drive to Kansas City and back this weekend for nothing.
Really?
My daughter misread the schedule. Granddaughter's gymnast.
Oh, really?
Gymnastics. She's 12. Had a big meet there. It requires, she was gonna be on at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. So, you know what, I'm not gonna get there. We'll just go over down the back towards.
Yeah.
Went over, when we got there, my daughter came in. Misread the schedule. She's in the afternoon session. We had already scheduled something. We had something we had to be at
Yeah,
which we could have rearranged.
rearrange it
But
if
she
you
said,
didn't.
I missed the schedule. She's in the afternoon session at 3:00.
Oh,
And we had to be back here at 4, so.
that didn't
So
work. Oh, that's
So we
too bad.
drove all the way over there. And she filmed her, on her phone videos. a
Mhm,
lot
she
of
did,
stuff.
yeah.
She did a lot of stuff. So we've seen it that way, but I hadn't gotten to see her in person. in a
Oh,
long
that's
time.
too bad. That's.
But-
That happens.
Yeah. But we got had a nice drive.
Well, at least it's decent weather.
Commissioners on contact Dave to let me know about the meeting on Thursday.
Because I had several emails over the weekend. So you're gonna have this on Monday. We'll be discussing this on
Right,
Monday.
right.
It's on the schedule yet. I'm fine. But long
Yeah.
for Thursday.
I kind of figured you guys would talk about when you wanted it on.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning. I'm gonna drop that list off. Friday. Got me married.
Oh, yeah.
The other one, I can't, we were sitting next to her. I can't remember who it was.
Kirsten.
I was like, okay. She was introducing her.
Good.
She said, what do you need? She said, well, this is, It's McKinley. And I said, yeah, not McKinley. So I thought it's her. No. So
I know.
I went through the name.
It's
I said,
confusing.
there's McKinley. I said, and then there's also Greg.
McClure?
McClure. And she goes, okay. And I said, I'll be back next week to give you a test.
Greg Eyestone and
Yeah.
I think we're above our quota of Greg's.
Let's see, you go by middle name, except my middle name's Evan. So-
Oh, is it?
No, let's see. My grandson's the 5th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I worked at a place where there was another John, another Ford, and the same middle name too.
Oh, you're right.
And we were about 3 months apart on the age scale there too. So
that's it?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Somewhere in Leavenworth, there was another Greg in the office, and the accountant, her husband's name was Greg. And then we were hiring a new project manager, and one of the guys coming in, his name's Greg, and she said, I won't let you hire him. I've got too many, we're not gonna.
I had 3 Susies or Susans in the office at one time.
Mhm. Well, you got two
Got
Michelle's
right now.
Mhm.
There's some Michelle somewhere else. Maybe another Michelle in another office somewhere, I think.
Might be in Shiloh's, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, some of those I don't know as well.
Right, Commissioners?
Mhm.
Good morning. First report's 2022 year-to-date wages, overtime, prepared budget report. You can see in the upper right-hand corner. Of course, beginning of the new year, we're only at 8.33% point in time of the year. That just we use our primary indicator to see comparatively where the budgets are for the respective departments for the wages and overtime and overall budgets as well. You can see in the far right-hand column, the percentage the departments are at. Always like to remind the commissioners, the highlighted 70.19, that center column of overtime for EMS ambulance. The overwhelming majority of that is budgeted scheduled overtime as part of their 24/7, 365 days a year service that they have to provide.
That's still a little higher than normal, though.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty high.
Is that because?
I think there's like a lot of departments are seeing right now, especially there, since, you know, some of those departments, when we have someone out ill, you know, we don't have to cover it, they have to cover it,
Yeah,
so
that's what I figured. Okay.
I think that would be the primary reason David would probably say if he was here. Also, in the past, the concern with commissioners have been that center column, the amount of overtime spent. Like to remind commissioners, typical departments like clerks, treasurers, register deeds, and budget 3% overtime. The other departments such as public works, noxious weed, solid waste, we budget 8% due to the nature of their business. Meaning they're the ones out there in the severe weather, removing snow and ice or floods, whatever the case may be. So their percentages can be higher, as you see public works is at 5.9, and we're well aware of the storms that everyone seemed to hit this year on the weekend. So overall, we're just at 8.5% in overtime, and of course the one outlier there, but it's calculated into that is the EMS ambulance. Commissioners have any questions on that first page? Next report. Just a little bit more detailed breakdown of the regular salary, seasonal, temporary, and overtime per department. The commissioners have a little more accurate idea of where those monies are being spent specifically. Any questions on those reports? Next one is 2022 year-to-date budget activity report, still comparing it to the 8.83% point in time of the year. Those highlighted in the blue are those that have exceeded it at this point in time. Those are all cyclical payments, juvenile detentions, quarterly, budget appropriations. Commissioners aware, the majority of those are 50% at beginning of the year. Insurance, cyclical payments as well. Noxious weed probably attributed to the purchase of chemicals or some type of supply, and it's not over that much. And then general fund transfers, 100%. We always do those at the beginning of the year. All of those should balance out by the end of the year, but what commissioners need to remember is it's only have to do a budget amendment on this first page if the entire page is in excess of 100%, because all of these departments and funds are within the general fund. So none of those would be an individual budget violation. I always like to point out to commissioners, 2 lines down from that boldest blue section, the county general is at 0.31%. That's because we have that $30,050,000 in budget stabilization in that department.
3. You said 30.
I did say 30.
Yeah.
3,050,000. Excuse
That's not the one I want to add zeros to.
Thanks for correcting. Any questions on that page?
Good.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Next page, so those highlighted in the blue, you can see they're over that 8.83%. Those ones, of course, we keep an eye on throughout the year, and if we need a budget amendment at the end of the year, we will. Like to point out economic development, we pay out appropriations there, so 50% of those funds for certain items does get paid out at the beginning of the year. Emergency 911, RCPD operations, of course, their budget appropriation that gets paid out of there, and rural fire capital outlay. Actually, Riley County does budget all capital outlay projects, but by state statute, capital outlay projects statutorily do not have to be budgeted. So technically, they would never be a budget violation, but we always amend them anyway. Any questions on the second page, commissioners? Next page is all enterprise funds, and enterprise funds
is a fund that derives its funding from those individuals that live or own property in those respective districts. No ad valorem taxes are used. Any questions on any of those, commissioners? They're all in good shape, as you can see right now. Very early in the year. Next page is a little bit more detailed breakdown of the general that I referred to earlier with miscellaneous, which is the budget stabilization at $3,050,000. We'll point out the personnel. Sometimes get at the very top questions from commissioners what personnel gets paid out of there. No one hourly or regular wages does. That separation of service pay is what we budget in there. We have budgeted a little less than previously because we had such a large amount that did retire there. We still have a fair amount of well-tenured staff that many of us have our points and are able to retire if they chose to at any point in time. Any questions there, commissioners? Next page is a comparison of 2021 to 22 expenditures, January to January, and then year to date, which of course at this point in time is the same, but respectively going throughout the year just gives a commissioner's snapshot, while not always an apples to apples comparison, comparatively how a department has spent their budgets funds from one year to the next. Any questions on this report? Next report, RCP expenses paid by Riley County. I always like to keep a close eye on anything medically related with inmates, because as the commissioners know, we are statutorily required no matter what the expenditures, and we've had about all of them, whether it be cancer, organ transplant, birth of a child, Riley County, if they're in our custody at that point in time, we are responsible 100% for their medical bills. No other public entity that participates in RCP funding bears any of that cost. It's all solely on Riley County. I like this next report a little bit better. It shows comparatively to the previous years where we're sitting. You can see last year we ended up a little high, 2021. Compared to previous years. 2020 was as well. And we knew that we had a couple of inmates that had high cost prescription needs due to medical situations. We're starting out at 12,000, at 13,000 right now. So we'll keep an eye on that for this year. But once again, whether we have the money budgeted in there or not, we are responsible to pay that. And we fared okay last year. Any questions on that page, commissioners? You can see at the bottom the budget appropriation is paid out. Next is RCPD offsite inmate medical expenses paid by Advanced Correctional Healthcare. You can see early on we haven't paid anything out yet. We have 30,000 still remaining in the pool balance. You will see down below they are doing a better job at getting us billing adjustments for prior years, which is $5,920 in save. So that's good. Clancy, Tammy, and myself are working on negotiating the contract with Advanced Correctional Healthcare also. So that's one of the main projects we're working on. Any questions on this page? There's not a lot on this page. Any questions in general, commissioners, or any additional information I can get you? Okay, if you guys go through those reports and have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'd be glad to get you any information you need. Next, commissioners, you have Stephanie Peterson, Flint Hills MPO Director at 9:15. Yep, sure do.
I just have a property in case. They have a lot of case states. There's like 20.
I tried looking at GIS to see where those were she was talking about. I was going to talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
too. I tried looking up GIS and I couldn't find where it was.
I'm wondering if we could get them to do this.
So Toilers, they look, they're on top of the hill on the other side. I don't know if you, but they're on the other side of the road, half, almost Cobble Hills, they're up on top of the hill. Racing.
Tracked up that far up there, yeah.
Yeah, because they're saying problems. Pipe and stuff to go that far, that came almost to Manhattan. Screw theirs.
To get to there, is
To
it?
get up
Yeah.
on the top of the hill, because they're out, well, they're just west of Colbert Hills. That's-
Oh, okay, over in there. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
when she was saying that to me, world, I said, I don't know. I said, but as the owner, because she was not able to take it. I said, no, no, take it. She said, I won't vote for that, so I can't imagine who else.
Yeah.
That's not
No,
good.
it's probably, it's absolutely necessary. Yeah, but we can figure out where the key state.
Yeah.
I would think that they should.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because what are they gonna
Whether it's
do
one
with
of
the
the-
property?
Well, but like, if it's one of their experiments.
It could be, you know.
But like I said, I tried working works, figure out where those were. So.
Yeah. I haven't looked that up. I thought you probably would have.
Yeah.
Um,
No, like I say, we just got Kansas City. Because I got you. I get on some, I got calls all after, jump calls all afternoon, so I just had to
Yeah.
answer. Tell me through it. Check what the voice was, so I called her back. So I'm trying to-
I wish Amanda would share that.
Yeah,
letter
and
with
that
us.
last email, Amanda said, yeah, she said, let us know.
Of course you should have. I knew that you were talking about that. You should have let us know.
Yeah.
That would have been good. But, you know, next time hopefully.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lady was in Joyce, she was telling me about she lost her dog or something. And then they moved the property. Oh, it took her property. That she got a good fighting doll she used to play with.
She said she'd been at Keats or they had their soup, their big soup set for stuff. Lions just.
Oh, yeah.
She'd been there, or maybe that was Saturdays and Fridays, they'd been there that morning making all the stuff for it. And somebody started asking her about, oh, didn't you make that? Yes. They just brought all this stuff out. She
Oh,
came home and opened the mail.
and there she saw that.
And it just
just
crushed
stuck
her.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna take my property.
Yeah.
I read that over and over. And I didn't get that from Bullish. I don't know how.
But I
she-
think that's, well.
It was the
because
past.
It's, like I say, she'd just been discussing, and she, you know, there's been rehashing with someone
Mhm.
that afternoon at the church when they were doing all this stuff, and then it wasn't get this.
Yeah, it's bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully we'll get the heads up next time.
Yeah. Dr. Moses. Sent his just on the west side.
On the west side, yeah.
Just across the creek.
Does he live there?
He's gonna get a house up there right now. 'Cause the reason I know is because I knew somebody in the house at one
Oh, yeah,
time.
okay.
But that's.
How many acres do we have?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he does have a farm because. You want to run the farm.
It's farm ground zone for it.
Right.
I went down and had breakfast Saturday morning at the chef with a friend of mine and was walking back up this way. I mean,
Really changed that, didn't it?
yeah, I mean, it's open. I think it just used to be a door there, didn't it?
That's all it was.
Yeah, so they made building Charleston was next door.
Oh, yeah.
All that
Yeah.
construction that we were hearing, with them taking,
Yeah.
literally pieces of the building.
Windows, yeah.
Mhm.
Wide open. Yeah.
I haven't walked by there, so. Been too
Yeah,
far.
I had to go back and think about what it looked like before, and I'm like, it just used to be a door. Now it's
Yeah, it
like,
was just a wall.
it's got a storefront and 2 big windows. It's like, holy cow.
Mhm.
Walk around there.
Ready,
That's
commissioners? Stephanie?
Yeah. Morning.
Good morning. I think you all know me, but I'm Stephanie Peterson. I'm the Executive Director for the Flint Hills Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is a mouthful, so we just call it the MPO. And I wasn't aware if all of you were familiar with MPOs, kind of how those came about, why they got started. And since it's my first update to y'all, I thought I would include that, and then we don't have to go over it in the future. So MPOs are required in any urbanized area that's over 50,000 people in population. So Manhattan, after the 2010 census, it hit that threshold, and that's what created or allowed us to create this MPO. So there's 5 of them in the state of Kansas, and there's hundreds of them across the country. And most of everything we do is guided by federal regulation. So the bipartisan infrastructure law, a lot of what's contained in there kind of gives us our marching orders of what we need to accomplish, which doesn't really change from year to year with each of those bills. So to give, I guess, are there any other general questions about the MPO that you've got? Okay, perfect. So the update as far as a project goes that we're working on, a transportation planning project. In 2022, we'll be working with the City of Manhattan and USD 383 to develop a Safe Routes to School plan. Safe Routes to School is a national program. There is federal funding reserved for projects that are identified in a Safe Routes to School plan. So the idea being that the MPO works with the city, possibly the county in some cases, and the school district to identify different projects that need to be in place in order to make sure that kids can walk and bike to school safely. It's not just construction or infrastructure projects. It could be, in some locations, they do a walking school bus where a parent volunteer or a school paid staff, they kind of collect kids from a neighborhood as they walk along. And that just lets parents feel a little bit safer that, you know, their second grader isn't walking to school by themselves, but they're with a trusted adult and a lot of other kids. Another program that we did recently that wasn't construction was the bicycle safety awareness program. So every 5th and 6th grade child that's in USD 383, they go through this bike safety program as part of their physical education curriculum. And it's like I think it's a 2-week course. And so they learn how to ride a bike, they get to be more comfortable on a bike. And then they also learn traffic safety and rules of the road. And the idea is it makes them be safer now as they're walking and biking, since they don't have a driver's license. But then when they do become young drivers, they're more aware that maybe bicyclists are also sharing the road with them. And so they can understand better how to interact with bicyclists on the road. So that's an example of a program that USD 383 has adopted. And since then, actually USD 475 in Junction City, they did a similar curriculum because it was done really well here. It was actually the first in the state that KDOT funded. So now we're seeing other school districts start to do that. But for this specific program, we will be covering all of the elementary schools within USD 383. So that also includes Ogden, and it includes Oliver Brown and Pottawatomie County. And with the new federal legislation, we can now include middle schools and high schools. So making sure that we have safe opportunities for middle school and high schoolers to walk if they need to those buildings. I would say that the timeline for this project, it should be wrapped up within the fall, and it does have to have formal adoption from the City of Manhattan as well as the school board. And once that plan is in place, then the city or the school district can apply for that special pot of funding through KDOT to implement the programs or projects that are identified in there. And our jurisdictions have typically done really well with those applications. In fact, the City of Manhattan has almost gone through all of the current projects they've identified as part of the 2015 Safe Routes to School plan. So they're needing us to come up with more projects for them to apply for. So that's the big planning project that we have going on in this area for 2022. And then Commissioner Ford asked that I maybe provide a couple of project updates. Just to let y'all know, once a project's kind of headed towards construction, we are pretty much out of the equation at that point. So a lot of the information or details I have on these projects comes from KDOT area engineers. So the one you're looking at here is it's an IKE project, so KDOT's long range transportation bill. It's I-70 and K-18. The idea for this project at this point is they're going to add an auxiliary lane. And it's going to go from the I-70 K-18 interchange all the way back to the Henry Gate interchange. If you ever are there around dismissal time at Fort Riley, you can see those cars start to back up, and especially on K-State home game weekends, the cars are actually backing up into the travel lane, which causes potential safety issues. So they're just going to add essentially a third lane there on the south side of that road, so that people can actually get over out of the travel lanes and start to slow down before they get on that on-ramp or the off-ramp, I'm sorry. And then that blue circle indicates the roundabout. It's going to be a one-lane roundabout that KDOT's proposing at that southern end. It's similar to what we see of some of the other highways that KDOT has throughout the state with the one-lane roundabout. That's such a weird intersection now. You're not sure if you're supposed to stop or.
It's a hard,
It's backwards.
Sideline is really
Yes.
bad there. You can't see the people coming across the bridge.
Yep, no, it's terrible, and I think KDOT's identified that. And they went through 3 different design schematics for that portion of the road, and the roundabout ended up modeling the best. So the design consultant they hired, they told them, we want to include the auxiliary lane, we want to include this roundabout, but then at the north end of that interchange, they're leaving it up to that design consultant to really figure out what the best treatment's going to be. Because when you're going southbound there to get on I-70, you can tell by the guardrail there, it gets a lot of cars that glide into it. We've gone back over the years in Google Maps and we're like, oh, there's cones, so that's been hit. And so that is something they're going to address. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but you're going at a pretty high speed when you have to make that tight turn. So they're going to address that as well. They are going to leave the existing bridge. Originally, they had about $35 million budgeted for this project. And once they realized they could use the existing bridge, that price tag dropped dramatically. So the price right now, just for design, we do not have it authorized yet for construction. I think it's $3.1 million was the design only for that project. And then as far as let's see, there isn't a construction year since we don't have the funding source identified at this point. But it is going to be likely state and federally funded. There won't be any sort of local contribution made on Geary County's part. So the other one that we're probably more interested in, the series of roundabouts that KDOT's proposing at US 24 and K13 and US 24 and K113. The roundabout design concept here, that's something that KDOT has had for a couple of years. I just laid those on a Google map, so they may not be exactly like an engineer would not use these to move forward. But you can kind of see how those are going to tie together. And then we go forward, it kind of zooms in a little bit more. The one that's at K113, it really models after some of the roundabouts that we find on Fort Riley along Huebner. So if you're going westbound, you don't even have to go through that roundabout. You just can kind of continue on the north side of it. And KDOT selected the roundabouts because these 2 intersections are the highest fatality, serious injury locations that we have almost in the entire region. And roundabouts at these locations really are the best way to deal with those serious injuries and fatalities. And so that's why they had selected these. As far as a timeline, they're supposed to let in December of 2023, which means construction probably in April or so of 2024. So we're still a few years out on that. They are going to be funded entirely by HSIP, so Highway Safety Improvement Program funds and state funds. So there isn't a local contribution, which is exciting for you all and the taxpayers. And right now, the total project cost is about 6.4 million. So that's another exciting reason you don't have to pay for it.
That 10% that
So
would have
that-
been.
Yeah. And that's what's, because I've had a lot of people asking me, when is that gonna happen? When's it gonna happen?
Not until 2024.
Yeah, I was looking at that on the map and going, I don't think that roundabout at 113 is gonna work. It's gonna go right off the side of that cliff there, but
You're gonna have to do a little bit of earthwork.
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna come back.
I think you're moving it south. a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit to the east. They may have to carve back a little bit there, and I don't know.
I saw a narrow miss right in front of me just a couple weeks there.
Oh, I believe it.
Someone just pulled right out
Mm.
along from the track.
Does the full funding probably have something to do with the fact that KDOT has a facility just in the middle of all that?
Or they have, it's on the state system, so a lot of times if it's on the state system and they identify it as a safety issue, they'll just go ahead and
Okay.
take care of it.
No complaints there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I see on the 24 and 13, there is no auxiliary lane for people to go in. Why is that?
Yep, so on this one right here, it's because it's a four-way intersection essentially, there isn't an opportunity to kind of bypass that along the north side. So up here, there isn't a roadway that continues to go north, so that's why we're able to bypass the roundabout.
Okay,
And of course, on the south in there, you've got several
few
businesses,
businesses, yeah.
gas station.
Weldon,
Schultz
Yeah.
Construction.
Correct.
Schultz, and Rory's,
Midland
welding is up there.
Has something up there too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And he's probably the best one to address the engineering specific questions, since he has the PE behind his name.
Oh, we're in trouble.
There's a vote.
We're in trouble there.
What happens here?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
we're not
Yeah,
either one.
yeah.
The technical questions.
Be prepared, Evan.
That was all I had prepared, unless there was something
On that
else.
safe routes to school, the NPO doesn't include all the county, is it just the city, just Manhattan?
Yes,
I didn't know whether the other school districts in the county are part through you, or they can still apply for them through their own to themselves, correct? For
Yes,
safe
if
routes
they-
to school.
if they have,
I know in Riley, we got one project funded through them, but we've got several more that we need.
if they have a safe routes to school plan, they're eligible to apply directly themselves to KDOT. And because they're a smaller community, their local match requirements less than what it would be for Manhattan.
Yeah.
The reason that we don't include it in our safe routes to school planning is because it's not within our NPO region.
That's what I thought the NPO wasn't, that
Yep.
extend up through the county. It's just-
Yes. Exactly. We have contracted though before outside of the region to say, we basically are at cost. So myself and my colleagues' hourly rate, we'd say this is how much it's gonna cost you to put it together. That's typically a lot less expensive than the consultants, which I'm not sure that they're excited about that because we can kind of compete a little bit. But we have done that. And you actually reminded me, we will be including MCS Manhattan Catholic Schools and Flint Hills Christian School in this safe routes to school plan because it's not part of the school district, but it's part of that region.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we did have, Riley does have a plan, but.
Okay. Yep, then they are eligible to apply
Okay.
directly themselves.
I am glad you're taking a look over at the Ogden area in particular. They sometimes get left out of that equation and they need some help over there with this for sure.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Next Commissioners Press Conference.
It's her copy.
Yep, you can give it to her. You can present it.
How are you, Tara?
Good, how are you?
We're doing good. I just need to know who to make a check out to. I'm assuming Kanza United Way.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ready, we'll go ahead and start. Okay. Proclamation for the Kanza United Way 2022 campaign. I'll read this. Whereas citizens of Raleigh County receive great benefits from the many programs provided by its health and human services agencies. And whereas Kanza United Way brings together businesses, government agencies, community organizations, committed individuals in a united effort to fund Raleigh County health and human services. And whereas Kanza United Way for the past 78 years has made available this financial support from its annual giving campaign. Whereas Kanza United Way raised funds support Raleigh County organizations and charities for the benefit of its citizens and the improvement of their quality of life. Now, therefore, we, the Raleigh County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2022 as United Way Month and encourage all citizens and employees to support financially through United Way the many local community organizations that provide invaluable services for the seniors, families, and youth of Raleigh County. Signed this date, 14th of February.
Thank you very
All right.
much. Thank you.
Yes, comments.
Sure. Just really happy to be in front of you today and also speaking to the citizens of the community. Kanza United Way, I feel, is very important as it is really an opportunity to build collaboration between our businesses, our citizens, our government agencies, and all of those concerned with creating opportunities and bringing attention to our local greatest needs. And I really look forward to sharing more information as we continue to go. I have some quick facts, if I could share real quick. Some things that maybe I don't think the community is quite as familiar with, but really excited that through our winter months, we have really begun to utilize our 211 network through the state, but specifically for our community. Last year, we reached the needs of 441 individual calls that came in from Raleigh County community members looking for assistance. The top 5 needs that were identified through those calls was utility assistance, rent and payment assistance, food pantries, homeless shelters, and communicable disease control, obviously with COVID being a high priority. And through our grant application and through our partner agencies, these are all programs and services that we fund and try and continue to improve and make a difference with. So really excited about that. We have a prescription card program that we make sure all of our partner agencies and social service agencies have in the community to give to their clients and personnel. And last year we saved $104,000 for those individuals, which obviously then they can use those funds for food and other priority needs. So, meeting our education needs, really excited that last year we brought the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to our community. In the first 90 days of that program, we're at 90% of our goal for the first entire year. So that's a free book program for all of our preschoolers in the community 0 to 5. They receive a free book a month until they turn 5. So happy to share any more of that information as we go, but really, really grateful to have Raleigh County employees bring back the employee campaign and create an opportunity that everybody can give back in a way that's meaningful to them. So thank you.
And I think we do have one kickoff donation that we want to present as well.
Yes. I said I was gonna do this in advance. I get to see you start.
Thank you
And
very much.
I have no doubts that we're gonna get a large number out of this. I just know our Riley County people and just feel compelled to start with that. I work on the Social Service Advisory Board for the city, so many of these same agencies clearly understand where we're at and the needs that we have currently. So I have more than thrilled to do that.
Well,
So
thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome.
Thank you.
And to share your sake for a photo.
Oh,
To share on that same note, I know the commissioners would be excited to hear, and the public as well, that with Commissioner Ford's kickoff donation, we're just in day one, you know, a couple hours into our campaign, and we have 4 recurring donations and 2 one-time donations already pledged. So I'm so proud of our
Good.
Brandon County
That didn't
employees.
surprise me at all. So yeah.
Great start, great start.
Maybe
Okay.
handshake.
Yes. Look at that. That's fine.
That kind of like when you get your diploma handshake. Okay, and now just.
Okay. Okay. Greg McHenry.
Okay.
Good morning. The Raleigh County Appraiser's Office will soon be mailing the 2022 change of value notices for each of the real estate parcels in the county. The notices, which will be mailed February 14th, Wednesday, reflect changes in property values due to our local real estate market. The notices provide both the current and the previous year's value, a brief explanation of the valuation process, and explanations of the appeal process. The notices also include a form that can be sent to the appraiser's office for purposes of scheduling what we call an informal appeal, an appeal where you would be meeting with the appraiser from our office who set the value. A contact number, 785-537-6316, has been established for those who wish to schedule an appeal by phone. And we will be doing the majority of our appeals by phone this year, unless someone requests in person or a meet at the property type of appeal. Property owners may also visit the appraiser's office during office hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, with questions or to schedule an appeal. Property owners will have until March 18th to schedule appeals. We can actually hold appeals until mid-April. The deadline to schedule is March 18th. Property data can be accessed through the county's website at www.raleighcountyks.gov/parcel. Sales data is only accessible during the appeal sign-up period to the public each year, and that can be accessed through the website during the appeal sign-up period, February 14th through March 18th. To access individual properties information online, including that sales data, individuals may go to online services, appraisal data, and log in. A temporary 30-day username, informal, and password appeal can be used through March 18th. I'd like to point out changes in value do not reflect changes to property taxes. The values are simply a reflection of property sales in the local real estate market. Property taxes are determined by school boards, city commissions, and county commissions when they determine their 23 budgets this summer. The level of taxation is determined by the percent change they may or may not make to the 23 budget as compared to the 22 budget. We would be happy to forward to field any calls or walk-in questions that folks have between now and the time we mail. And certainly, once we mail those notices of value, which should hit the mailboxes probably Friday or Saturday of this week. Any questions?
I don't have anything.
Greg,
Thank you.
Alan, on next.
I don't know, can they see this if they're watching
No.
online? Okay. I apologize to those who don't have the visual, but these items that I'm referring to are in the agenda packet this time. Kind of a hybrid press conference, I suppose. We had a question come up and I said, well, maybe we should do that in a different press conference. And so to my surprise, you said, yes. Oh, okay. So here we are. We're going to talk about a couple of appraisal statistics that are used to evaluate our office. And the first one is a sales ratio, which you've heard us talk about many times. It's where you take the sale price and I have that upside down, don't I? On the first one there. Boy, that's a nightmare. Where you take the valuation and you divide by the sale price. The sale price is the test. Now, I have it right in the three below there, where the top number is the valuation. So if we valued something at 210,000 and it sold for 210,000, divide those, you get 1.0. That means we're right on the money. However, if our valuation was 200,000 and it sold for 210, we are too low. So any number below 1.0 is, we might say, good, that we're not too high, because nobody wants the appraiser's office to be too high. And the third one there is where we are, where our valuation was 220, but it sold for 210, and that ratio would be 1.04. Now, that ratio statistic can be used a lot of different ways. You can evaluate every sale that comes in the office and do an individual sales ratio. However, what would it look like if you looked at the body of our work? In the second chart that we have in the packet, it shows the sales ratio, all of them from 2021, from about January through October, because we stopped verifying sales at the end of October to do our final phase. And this is also showing with regard to sale price across the bottom. Across the bottom, you see sales price. So as sale prices increase, do you see any kind of a different trend? And the ratio is up on the y-axis on the left side. So you can see, where do you think most of those circles are landing? Are they above 1.0? They below 1.0? And we've reported recently that our median, our middle ratio, if you rank ordered them from the highest to the lowest, has been near 90, which is historically low. We haven't been that low. And if you look at those circles, just visually, you'll see that most of them are below that line of 1.0. And the question was, how many of our ratios were below 1.0? That's what spawned this whole thing. And I wasn't sure. I knew it was more than 50%, otherwise the ratio wouldn't be below 1. But it's 83%. 83% of those sales last year that are considered arm's length transactions. There's a lot of filtering of the data that you have to cut things out. We don't do F parcels because it has ag land and they're not market value. They won't be at market value because the land is valued not at market. There are other situations where if it's not arm's length, we're not going to count that. So sometimes it takes a lot of effort to get that data clean. Any questions about that middle chart there that maybe I didn't explain or you're wondering about? One thing I will note is you get out there to the higher end sale prices, you see more circles above 1 or below 1, because there is a belief that we're not very good on higher sale prices. And what you see there is you see more circles below as you work out there to the end of the market. All right, the last one is a box and whisker. And I was kind of disappointed, but it made sense once I thought about it. I thought the boxes would be bigger and it would illustrate a little bit more, but you really have to kind of squint at those boxes. But here's what I want to tell you, that those wide boxes represent 50% of the sales in that narrow little box. And that line that you can barely see in the middle is the middle. It's the median ratio. So what that little narrow box for each year there shows that our ratios have been very tightly clustered. And you can think of a ratio like a shotgun blast. And you see a pellet spread. We don't want pellets going everywhere. We want them tightly clustered. And that's what that narrow box illustrates. And so you see the 3 years there in the boxes, we revalue each year because we're asked to, the Constitution says that we do. What do you see about those 3 boxes? Even though we reset values each year, they're drifting downward, aren't they? Which is a reflection of what we all know is the market's pretty good if you're selling. In fact, that middle 50% in 2021 is all below 1.0. Those whiskers, that isn't necessarily a uniform dispersion that everything, that's just it's a band that any of those dots that are outside of it, are considered outliers. You know, how are we 2.5 times too high on a sale? That's usually a really low sale. If you go up there and look at this first one or the previous chart, these low sale prices, you see a lot of these high ones. There's usually something going on there. Maybe it's I know 2 of them, they were double wides, one in 2 different small towns. One was auctioned, and there was only 3 people there at the auction. And I know that the buyer, well, he got it for $20,000, and I think we had it a little over 60, somewhere in there. So yeah, we were above, and that buyer reported to our appraiser that he thought he got a really good deal. And so, you know, what is the market value? What he paid for it at the auction, or does it go into a pool? Anyway, those things are called outliers. They, you know, the statistics are there. Sometimes they have to be evaluated. In regard to that, because there's so many sales that are below 1.0, that illustrates why we have referenced that values will be going up. They need to go up in order for us to be at market value. The values we chose a year ago or the sale prices are really higher than them. So how would you know if your value is too high? You know, the notices are coming out this week. Is it just a matter of how you feel about it? Oh, I don't like that value, it's too high. What you need to do is look at sales. You need to find out what sales are doing in your neighborhood. And Greg talked about that earlier. You need to go to our parcel search website. You need to find that. You need to enter that password, the username and the password that he referenced that will also be in print. And look at sales. Look at what things are selling for before you come to a conclusion. Now, you may, after doing that, still decide that's too high. And that's what the appeal process is for, and we welcome that. We may learn something about your property that we didn't have listed right. We are not afraid of the appeal process. Please, if you think you're too high, give us a call. This year, we haven't been too high very often, as you can see from these charts. So, did I answer your question about how many are below 1? All right, any other questions that you have about that? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
John, here.
Good morning, John Ellerman with Public Works. I have a couple road closures for bridge projects to announce. First one is a bridge replacement project on the South Otter Creek Road, scheduled to begin this sometime today with least traffic control. Project is approximately 0.4 of a mile south of the Green Randolph Road. South Otter Creek Road will be closed through traffic during construction from Green Randolph south to the Scow Road. Project is expected to be completed in June of 2022. The next one would be a bridge replacement project on West 32nd Avenue. To begin February 21st. Project is located about 0.4 of a mile north of McDowell Creek Road. West 32nd Avenue will be closed through traffic from South 33rd Street to McDowell Creek Road. Expected to be completed around September. So, okay, questions?
We'll be getting some kind of email or press release out on this.
I think we had sent those last week.
Thanks, John. Greg, it's your turn.
Greg's today. That's because we got a lot of Gregs.
Appreciate it. Well, good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Side note, if you're getting your sweetheart some flowers this year for Valentine's Day, if you want them to last longer, we might keep them in a cooler location. If you go to bed, don't leave them by the bed. Put them back in the refrigerator if you want to, and maybe over time recut the stem so they can take up water and use the preservatives in there. That's beneficial too. That's not really what I was going to talk about, but since today's February or Valentine's Day. Want to encourage anybody who's interested in vegetable gardening this year. We're going to have a program this Saturday, 10 a.m. We'll be at Pardoff Hall.
So if you're thinking about doing some vegetable gardening, come on out. We'll give you some tips and answer any of your gardening questions. With the 4-H members this year, each year at the county fair, we kind of highlight a plant or vegetable for them to learn about. And this year, we're going to talk about potatoes. So I'll be addressing potatoes in particular. So we have the largest vegetable, which this year will be potatoes. So how do you grow a large potato? Idaho is a really good place to grow your potato. That's not legal for the county fair, but a cool environment is basically what we're looking for when we're growing our potatoes, and plant them early. St. Patty's Day is always a good ballpark, but hopefully we have a cool spring for good growth on your potato. And this is a stem, so you know, underground stem, not a root like the sweet potato. So what you do is you cut this up, and there's buds there that can sprout up and produce your potato.
You could have brought us a hash brown potato.
See, so that I grow them and make them, serve them up.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Don't make it into the best this morning. Okay, we see how it is.
But again, this Saturday, February 19th, 10 a.m., Part Off Hall, Seco Park. Also, just a note that we will be starting a week from this Friday our 4-H garden projects in many of our schools. And so the students will get to learn about growing springtime vegetables, and we'll plant their salad garden there after spring break. And Megan, again, will come in and teach them nutrition, and we'll harvest, hopefully. We harvest something usually. It's all year what we get to harvest, but we plant radish, spinach, lettuce, and onions, and they get to consume that at the end of the school week. So some gardening things happening, and if you ever have questions, give us a call, 785-537-6350. Come in and see me, 2nd floor, Riley County Office Building.
That's good.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Rick.
You got your flowers, Rich?
You got him off guard there.
Good answer.
How about you?
Already got them, a couple weeks ago.
No, I got one yesterday.
They're really
And I'm very.
And I think Tara shared a lot of her information already, but I think she has some questions if you have any questions.
I guess really maybe just I was excited about some of the facts that I don't think are quite as widely shared or haven't been shared in the past, and so I wanted to share that. But United Way has a unique giving platform, which really is the workplace campaign, and that's what makes United Way unique in our fundraising efforts in the community. And so it's to work with our employers to give the employees the opportunity to give in a way that is meaningful to them, but maybe spread that gift for the year out through the payroll deduction process. So it allows some individuals to give a little bit more than they could have by just writing a one-time donation. I think I've shared, if you think about the community and Riley County specifically, with about 75,000 employees or 75,000 people, if you had half of the population give $100 a year, think about what United Way could give back to the community through our social service agencies. And really, as I look to the future, I look forward to being able to connect to our business partners, to our governmental agencies and the staff there to be able to give back in a way that's meaningful so that we can help our agencies who work on our basic needs focus on our families and meeting some of those critical need areas to focus on their mission and maybe not have to worry about the fundraising side of it. If we can grow our United Way campaign throughout the county, then that allows them to truly work on their mission and what they want to do to contribute back to the community. So really excited to have Riley County employees back in our workplace campaign efforts. So I'm here, happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Tara, would you share how would you share how the disbursements are made to other organizations, how you decide that? And
Yeah.
we had some employees ask who and how to get those funds.
Yeah, that's also something that's very unique. Your United Way dollars really are a reflection of you, the individual in the community giving back. So it gives us maybe a collective effort to kind of measure what those dollars and where those dollars are going. And every spring or beginning in January, we have a grant application process. So an agency can apply for funding from United Way. We ask that it meet a strategic need in the community, either in education, financial stability, or health. So that's our 3 core areas. We can't be everything to everybody, so that's what we're looking to fund, is those basic needs areas. And so there's a grant application process. They submit a letter of intent as a 501c3. Once that's reviewed, they have the opportunity to complete a full grant application. It's about 20 questions, so it's not terribly elaborate or time consuming, but we really want to know what your mission is, what you're going to do with those dollars, and how it's making a difference for our community members. And then in April 27th, and I would invite you to be a part of the Community Investment Day if you like and it fits your calendar. On April 27th, what we have is Community Investment Day, and that is a group of volunteers. We have a goal to have about 50 who will join us on that particular day. About a week before, they will receive all of the grant applications, the financial information from all of those entities that are requesting partnership funding from United Way. But on that day, you have an opportunity to hear a small presentation from that agency and ask some questions of them. So our community investment volunteers are donors. So it's our donors who are guiding and determining how the funds are spent each year that we raise through the United Way campaign. So at the end of the day, we will share a dollar number, which is the dollar we've raised annually through the campaign, to say, okay, we have $250,000, we have $300,000. Of course, it fluctuates through each giving campaign. Now, you have heard the impact and the needs of these particular entities requesting for funds. Now you have to spend that allotted money between these agencies where you feel we will make the biggest and the most impactful difference for our community citizens. So at the beginning, we do have a training. We have an opportunity to learn about what the life of an individual who is probably educated, but living that paycheck to paycheck model. And if the pandemic has identified anything for us in the community, is how many citizens really live on that threshold of paycheck to paycheck. And if everything's going well, it's great. But the minute something disrupts that, then it creates crisis for some of our families. But our community investment volunteers are critical, and really the individuals in our grant process who determine how our dollars are invested in the community. It's not myself, it's not the Conzo United Way Board of Directors, but it really is our donors. And so that also makes us a little more unique in our giving methods. So thank you for that.
I guess probably with your explanation, is there a list of who, I guess you don't decide till later, but is there you can find a list of who it was last year or something?
Yes,
just to see which kind of groups that they.
Absolutely, we keep a comprehensive list on our website. So at any point, if you're a part of that grant process, those are shared with you. I would say we have some programs that are very consistent in funding. This year we've had 2, so we're working on funding for 2023 right now. The grant process from January to April will be those who are looking for funding from us beginning calendar year 2023. And we've had a couple not apply for funding, but we've had 2 new ones apply for funding, which I feel really fit our model and what we're trying to do in the community. So it ebbs and flows a little bit, but I would say we stay anywhere from 15 is low, but 20, 22 agencies any given year. something else that I think is exciting and maybe even more relative for Riley County, but we do have some agencies that we fund that are able to leverage their federal dollars because they receive United Way dollars. So Adibus is one, Crisis Center is one, there's a couple more, but
Emergency shelter.
the emergency shelter, it really becomes impactful if you think, if we could get more individuals to give through their United Way campaign, and we could then provide more grant funding to those agencies that then they leverage federal dollars in, it really makes a big difference for us. The other thing that is very exciting to me that I didn't realize before I started with United Way, which I think is the case for any of us when we learn more about where we're working, is I think something that is very unique to United Way is, well, our local board makes all of our funding decisions, makes all of our operational decisions for us. We are a member organization of United Way worldwide and United Way United States. And what that network allows for us to, as an example, Caterpillar is actually a Momingo, but one of our largest campaigns in the community. Their corporate office matches their employee giving 1-to-1. So I'm going to give you some round numbers, not specific, but locally, their employees make a $25,000 contribution to Kanza United Way through their employee campaign in the August timeframe. And corporately, their parent company in Illinois matches them 1-to-1. So that becomes $25,000 into our community, into our social service network that comes from a completely different state. So there's power in that bigger umbrella that we are member organizations for that really benefits our community overall. So just one example of that.
So how long have you been?
I will be here, well, probably 3 years this month. So I've been in the Manhattan area since graduating from K-State. So this is home. I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else. And I've had a couple of different opportunities. I worked for the K-State Foundation, really got to learn fundraising. That was back before we really realized that you could raise the kind of endowment money that the foundation raises now. I spent some time with USD 383 in the Adult Learning Center, and that gave me a really interesting view of our community and our education system. I spent some time in another nonprofit in the community, and what I learned in that experience, which I hope I can bring to United Way, is the power of our social service network in our community and probably in others, but let me speak specifically to Manhattan, is the inner workings and the inner dialogue that happens to support our families holistically. So if there's children in that family, what social programs do we have in our community to support the children themselves? If it's basic needs or food, if it's housing, if it's whatever it might be. The generosity, the passion that is within our social service agencies to create an opportunity and communication and dialogue to fix as much as we can or address the needs together is really strong in our community, which makes me very proud to be a part of this network, and really one of the reasons I was excited to join United Way. When I was with the other nonprofit, I would be asked a question, how have you seen so much growth? What's happening? What's different? And I don't know that it's different, but what I was able to leverage, because I had been in the Manhattan community so long and surrounding area, is I knew the contacts within those other social service agencies. So we really began to network and collaborate and to have those conversations together. And when you come to United Way, we're not focused on any one particular thing. What we want to do is look at the community. And the community needs change from year to year, from situation to situation. Again, the pandemic has been a huge eye-opener for all of us in that situation. And so for me to be able to say, that's great, but what about? And be able to call attention to what's outstanding and where we need some attention is something that I look forward to being able to do now into the future. So.
I like you did a great job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Invite you to be a part of Community Investment Day, and in June, we will have Restaurant Week again, and really excited about that because not only do the funds come back to our community through our community impact fund, but it also encourages people from outside of the community in our community to support our economy and visit our local restaurants. So that'd be June 10th to the 19th. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Next, commissioners, you have Don Oliver and
Elizabeth, did you have any comments on the county?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Love that. Elizabeth Ward, Human Resource Manager. I guess I would just say we've shared some information with our employees, but we are encouraging not only our community, but our employees specifically to donate to the United Way through the employer program that she outlined. And it is very simple. Our employees may do a payroll deduction. It would be through 24 payrolls through the year, so they can choose a certain dollar amount or percentage that they would like to donate, and we will do an automatic deduction and then get those funds for them over to United Way. They may also do a one-time donation. We've had a couple of our employees, including Commissioner Ford, do a one-time donation, and that's fine as well. They can do that in a direct check. They can bring it to us for the campaign. They can also go online. They have an online option, or they could deliver directly to Conza. And we did attach a flyer to the previous email that we sent out that kind of outlined those and a website link. And I believe the website link would also take them to the different organizations who are currently receiving funding as well, so they could see that. Vivian and I will put out another email blast today and just let people know, remind them that today's the kickoff and these are the different ways. And so we have the donation form attached to the email. We have it on our W shared drive, and then we have hard copies available in Human Resources as well. Yeah. Super excited. And I mentioned earlier, we had some standing employees who were already donating to the United Way. But as we hadn't been educating and getting that word out, doing kind of a publicity campaign, that's kind of dwindled over the years. But we already have, I think I said 6 new, before I left my office, we had 6 new people donating already as of day 1. So super exciting.
Great deal.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, commissioners.
Yeah, thank you very much.
My coffee got cold. So.
don't like cold coffee.
Iced coffee.
It's rain on this day, maybe? It keeps diminishing day by day.
Okay.
Guess I'll have to get intertwined into college basketball for a while. I don't know if we're gonna have baseball this year yet or not. It's not looking good.
This is what college baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
I think our guys.
Yeah, they're supposed to be pretty good this year.
Mhm. I think I got that blend finally of good pitching with solid hitting.
Yeah, it seems that.
The Big
One or
12
the
stuff, gosh, Big 12's got like 4 teams in the top 10.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Tech and Baylor and Texas and TCU, I think.
Oh, really?
Very
Ready, John, you are.
All right.
So good morning again, John Ellerman, Public Works, with my monthly update. Start with running over a couple of the bridges that have been going on. Rose Hill Road Bridge had their deck pour last week. So we're getting to be within 4 to 6 weeks of being complete with guardrail, dirt work, and cure time. Getting closer. West 32nd, earlier, starts on the 21st. It has 150 working days. That's back to September. Then South Otter Bridge should start today with traffic control. Or the 16th, I'm sorry, Wednesday with traffic control being closed out, and it has 100 days, working days. Center Road Bridge has been completed and open to traffic. Wildcat Park Bridge is all but completed. They, I think they opened it this weekend. Guardrails up, dirt works back in place, gravel down to the park put on, starting fence work today. The only thing that'll be kind of delayed in doing is some planting of the seed, plant grass around it that we disturbed in our work. So that's about finished too. Then that was a bridge that our crew did. So the parks crew, they working some snow removal activities, some regular hidden park maintenance. There was been some time to trim a tree last week or two at Fairmount Park. The operations guys were working on the bridge, just some snow removal, cleaning ditches and trees around various roads in the county, helping noxious weed pick up and haul off tree limbs that they've been trimming off on the county roads. Started their small structure inspections. Something we try to do annually, get all around those little smaller structures and look at them, see how kind of shape they're in. I started putting in here open positions again. We've talked about that the other day. We had 2 mechanic spots open, traffic control position open, and equipment operator position there. And I'll be bringing to you next week or so request to fill a position that I to make it for a utility tech person. It's a been budgeted position as something else. I converted it to this utility side. So many other things to work on. Working with the architect Arch Images on scoping services. I'm trying to develop the scope of service so they can give us a cost of what their services will be. Working on compliance with EPA and KDHE on University Park Treatment Plant. We have a RFQ open out that are due Wednesday from engineers that are interested in helping us work our way through that. Dust control applications have gone out or have started to be advertised. Just so you know, the cost has increased. The chemical itself cost increased, so we increased our rates $750 per 500 foot. And that just maybe barely, if it does cover our cost for our work that we put in to prepare it, as well as the chemical.
What was the previous like?
650.
The price of the chemical more than doubled. So
Oh yeah, it did go up quite a bit than over the last. Every so often when it does go up, we kind of absorb some of that in ourselves, catch it up. We will be in the next few weeks reviewing water rates. Since the city of Manhattan increased theirs in Real Water had to increase their rates, so all our districts, we're gonna have to look and see if it's time to increase the rates a little bit to absorb those costs off. So we're cost increase rates, just so they're prepared.
We'll hear about it for sure.
We're gonna look really close at our asphalt, chip seals, and our striping. We got an email the other day, our striping costs have gone up $1.50 a gallon. Increasing what we're paying, so we were at probably above our budgeted amount. It would definitely be above our budgeted amount this time. Our asphalt prices, we're told oil will go up, and rock has gone up. So we had a good feeling that our overlay costs are gonna go, and between budget CIP or the budget and sales tax. You may have to look at whether we chip seal, how much we overlay. And unfortunately, we have a large overlay project scheduled in McDonald Creek at right around 12 miles or so. So, those are things we're gonna start looking at, whether we can put one off over the other, do something to with striping, or how we get that funded. So, we'll be coming back in that direction. Good news. Go for it.
Let's hope.
Questions?
I don't have anything.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next, commissioners, you have Mr. Holman at 10:25. The constant theme is increased prices. The ACH contracts that we're negotiating, it's going up. Medical, so everything's going up. I've not seen one thing that's staying the same.
Rich, do you remember that Sarah female officer?
She's upstairs in the community corrections department.
Oh,
And what he was asked
Huh? Yeah, I know, I can picture him. The gentleman who came to speak about the overlook from Ogden, he lives in Random Woods.
Carl Treese.
Carl Treese.
That's goodness.
Not that I'm aware of.
Is he what?
What he's asking for.
Well, he said the state told him the county has the authority over the land, which is state owned for some reason, to be able to put an overlook there, was what he was saying.
Yeah.
Actually, I think, well, I've been, the state's pushed its name to us a couple times. I've talked to Alvin about it.
Okay.
And so I wasn't sure what he was asking.
I think he's just wanting to know who's responsible for it, so he knows who to work with to get something in.
He contacted the state told him even though it's state property, the county has control of being able to do anything with it.
And I think what that is that Skyway Drive there will be transferred over. We picked up the maintenance already without actually needing the deed to the old highway.
That's what I told the commissioners. I thought it was. We got a bunch of that with that change in that road out there. And so I figured that's what it was.
I'll give him a call, see what and where it actually is looking at.
Okay.
And once you figure all that out, you might want to get on the agenda, update the board on it. So. Someone tomorrow might get blown away.
Windy.
Up to 40 mile an hour.
Sure. It's starting early. Usually that's much more into March.
No, last week was pretty windy.
It was.
Yeah, they said enjoy today because the wind is much higher tomorrow.
Coming from the south, I take it.
I'm sure.
Worries me. It's as dry as it is, warm as it's gonna be with the wind and the lack of humidity. Worries me.
What was that big fire or explosion over the fort? You hear about that? On Saturday, we were going up to Riley, it's right outside of Riley. There, I don't know what, it was a huge smoke fire thing.
They doing training of some sort?
I don't know what they were doing, but it was, people were out driving up there from Riley to figure out where it was coming from, or taking pictures.
Kansas City, so they're basically.
Yeah, I took some pictures, I have to show you, it was just like, it was huge, it was like a big explosion, and something crazy, it wasn't just burning the fields, it was a lot different kind of smokes and that. And when it went in front of the sun, it was really eerie, clouds were like yellow.
What time was that?
It was about 12:31.
That was in Manhattan.
Show you pictures of that. From my family. It was crazy.
Some of them, it's not like the grass fire, they have grass fire.
They have
The
that.
tanks, the tanks will start, their exhaust will start fires out in the fields sometimes.
This was,
I mean, they plan burns up there, but sometimes their tanks, the exhaust and stuff.
yeah, there was
start
quite a
fires.
bit burned already as we drove up, around basically coming home. There was a lot of burn here. Really, of course, Raleigh Cafe for some reason wasn't open. So.
Oh,
So
Amanda, how you doing?
we had to go into Junction
Good.
City.
what, farmhouse?
Oh, the other one, yeah.
Yeah, I know the farmhouse, I think.
There
They
was.
don't say, they're only open in a couple of.
Usually she's open on Saturdays, Sundays she's closed. Okay.
right, Clancy.
Morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor.
Yes.
Thought I'd begin by updating you on one particular bill in the legislature. It's House Bill 2531. It's going to be having a hearing this afternoon at 3:30 in House Agriculture. This is the agricultural, well, I don't know what to call it, pipeline. It's a pipeline bill, but not what you might think. It's a bill that allows agricultural producers to run a pipeline through the existing right-of-way of a county, either through the right-of-way, under the road, or down the road. It sets out a process for doing that. Has some provisions for repairing the right-of-way and that kind of thing. But I spoke with Public Works Director John Ellerman. He had some good comments about the bill. KEC has, of course, sent out a notice to all counties that this could have an impact on their right-of-way throughout the county. And like a lot of legislation, this is apparently based on an isolated incident in somewhere in northwest Kansas. And instead of resolving that or allowing it to be resolved at the local level, which probably makes, some would say, more sense, the idea is to change existing law and affect 105 counties, 104 other counties anyway. And so what this bill does, the concerns that John raised, which I think were good ones, are that the bill doesn't describe what is in the pipeline. It simply says that it's a pipeline used by an agricultural producer, and we're talking a private producer, to put a pipeline through the county right-of-way. Doesn't say what's in the pipeline. Well, that could include an electrical line, it could include natural gas, and that could be a concern, obviously, for later maintenance on the road, since this pipeline could be anywhere in the right-of-way, anywhere under the road, or anywhere down the road. So one of the changes that John suggested, and I think was a good one, is that the bill ought to include a provision that whoever is running such a pipeline be a part of the one call system at the state level, so that if there is maintenance down the road, somewhere on that road in the future, that the county or township crews, and this affects both township and county right-of-way, they would be able to make a call and find out the precise location of that pipeline. And as you can imagine, that could raise some safety concerns if there's an electrical line or natural gas line that we don't know about, or the township doesn't know about precisely as time goes on, exactly what the location of it is. The bill does say that there's supposed to be specifics by the agricultural producer when the pipeline is put in, but we think it needs to be specific as a matter of basically as a matter of safety. And it also is for the safety of those others who might want to who have an existing line, some other entity that has a line already there in the county right-of-way or the township right-of-way. They need to know as well if they're going to do some relocation or do some work on their line. They need to know where that agricultural line is. For those reasons, we submitted some neutral testimony that John Ellerman signed off on. We submitted it for the hearing last week, and then that was continued to this because of other matters that were pending, was continued to this afternoon at 3:30 again in House Agriculture. It's written only testimony. It is neutral. I made the decision that I think it makes sense sometimes to point out by neutral testimony just some concerns and encourage the legislators who are sitting on that committee to take kind of a common sense view of the concerns raised, not immediately come to a conclusion, well, it's just Riley County again, or some other county raising a concern that doesn't matter. If it's neutral testimony, there's no opposition to the bill in its current form, but some legitimate concerns are raised for the legislators to consider. So that's the tack we've taken on this. And certainly anybody who's watching today, any member of the public, you can go to the legislative website and you're able to go and see committee hearings and kind of see what happens on this. Be glad to answer any questions you have about that. All right. Also, if you have any questions on the existing project list, it was updated before today's meeting. If you have questions on any of that, I'd be glad to answer them as well. I'm batting 1,000 here. Oh, got a question. No, all right. The other item I have under my time today is a commission agenda report from Amanda Webb, your planning and development director, and I this time would turn my time over to her. Amanda.
Thanks, Nancy. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. So as Nancy mentioned, we have the contract for GovBuilt, our permit software here before you. We have Robert Disberger, one of the founders of GovBuilt, here with us. They're a local company. So we're actually having our kickoff meeting right now. So we're really excited to be getting our process started. So again, you have the contract before you, both their master service agreement as well as our contractual provisions agreement. Again, Clancy has reviewed that, as has, of course, the folks at GovBuilt, and everybody is in agreement with that. They have signed, of course, just need you folks to sign. I apologize, I should back up a little bit. I got a little excited there. We are, as I have talked about, we are working on replacing our current system. It's just not meeting our needs. Last year, in October, we issued a request for proposals for a new permit system. Of those, I believe I sent out 6. I received 5 proposals back from different vendors. My group and I evaluated each. We decided to interview 3, and we had those interviews, I believe, in early December. And then ultimately, and we included Corey from IT in those interviews as well. And we unanimously decided to go with GovBuilt. And so again, obviously, we have been working on the contract and agreements with them over the last little bit. And so we've been able to get that settled now, of course, before you folks. So that's kind of some of the background. If you recall, we did allocate $110,000 CIP funding to the one-time initial investment for our new permit system. Their one-time upfront cost will be just under $100,000, $99,725. So we're definitely within that CIP funding amount that you folks allocated for that. Again, that's just the one-time setup costs, initial costs that we're doing. That would be regular. Our first annual fee on top of that $99,000 is $25,150. We have budgeted within planning and development's department budget for that. So no extra money needs to come from that. They do have built in a 5% technology fee increase for every year, which is pretty standard. So you'll see we'll have a little bit higher of a rate next year, and that will be within planning and development's annual budget. Like we do now, we budget for the annual subscription that we have within the department's budget. So again, I'm happy to answer any questions, comments about that, but you have the contract and the paperwork ready to sign.
No, these RFPs don't, at this amount, they don't come before the commission. That when you put out a request for project, that's internal in your division, or you don't bring those?
So the 99,000, that's from the CIP funding that you folks approved. I believe it was late last year. I believe it was in November of last year. You allocated that amount that it could go up to within the CIP funding, and then the annual subscription fee, that $25,150 is built into my budget. That's already been, at least the 25 is for this year. That's already been built into my 2022 budget, and I build that into my budget every year. That of course you folks review and approve every year.
Well, that wasn't what I was asking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was asking, if, like on normal bids, you bring, it's not an internal committee thing that the department looks at. It comes before the commission to approve 3 or 4, whatever, and then back to staff. Did we do that? I don't recall that.
I apologize, I misunderstood your question. Clancy, can you weigh in on that a little bit? There was a different process that we were able to go through with what I was doing here versus like bid approvals and things like that.
Right.
So it's a different process.
Well, as I recall on this one, didn't you do an RFQ on this one?
Yes, essentially, yeah.
Okay, So you set out what you needed, and then you had as I understand it, you had a committee that did some scoring and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And then that was brought back to the commission at one point.
So we did through the procurement code, we did the request for the proposals, and we were able to do it internally and do those reviews and make that decision ourselves. That then, of course, we would bring the contract before you folks. But it was different from, again, like when Public Works does their bid openings, that's not the process we had to go through because it was a different kind of service that we're doing with this.
We allocated the CIP funding for it already. If she had to go over 10,000 over that, she'd have to come back to us, but we allocated that separately.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out what the process was here that's different.
Difference is it's a professional service as opposed to like a bridge project or a piece of equipment.
All right, as opposed to that, and it's different than the architectural process we went through.
Well, that's for a physical building.
That's for a building, okay. That's
That's
the
for a
difference.
physical building. It's not.
And we still got several processes to go through there
Yeah,
before that's all
yeah,
said and
yeah, I
done.
was
Yeah,
just
so
trying to
this
figure
is,
out what-
yeah, so
why
this
this
is for a
is
service, so yeah, again, without it being a bid opening where of course everything was, sealed, presented to you folks, sealed, we open in public, you see, it's a different process that we have to do because this is a, I guess, basically a product and a service that we're purchasing or whatnot, so it's a professional service, so it's not the same as the bid opening thing. So we normally do again with like when John buys a piece of equipment or something like that, or when I bought the truck.
Yeah, that's how it's designated differently in the procurement code as a professional service.
Professional service, okay. Thank you.
But it was nice to have a local company to provide it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else?
Need a motion if you'd like to approve.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and move that we approve the contract with Gov Built as presented and authorize the chairman to sign.
Yeah, I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the contract with Gov as presented. All those in favor? Aye.
Chairman, sign please. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Amanda. Commissioners, that's all I have unless you have questions on anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. It's amazing different companies that are.
Just got surprised Civics Plus, or maybe they were part of the process too, and have something for that.
No, never have heard their name come up in that, but they did review OpenGov.
Yeah,
does, and they did review that one. Possibly.
On top of,
Now, is there a dollar amount on these professional bids?
I can get you a copy of the procurement code.
Okay, yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to see that.
I think we're
It's a
given
neat
one
thing to
early
learn,
on, but,
yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Be glad to. Do you want one too, Greg?
Yeah.
You need one, John?
I might as well,
Okay.
just send it to all of us.
Anybody else have anything else?
I don't.
Take a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. We adjourn the February 14th Valentine's Day edition of the Riley County Board of Commission.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded. Pardon me. For adjournment.